show you how easy you can go from, basically nothing to having an iPhone app like ready in TestFlight that you could eventually push to the App Store. And I've been making a bunch of things recently. So I've made a bunch of different iPhone apps and various web apps and stuff. And when I make web apps, I usually do it with um, with Replit, because Replit has like the full, you can both like write code or vibe code in the platform, and you can like deploy it, and it has like test environments and stuff. So Replit makes a lot of these steps that I'm about to show you very easy. You can kind of skip them. You don't have to know much about them. But if you want to do iPhone stuff, I think there's not really a better way today. So you kind of have to start with a little bit more raw than Replit. So I've been using a bunch of different tools to do this. Um, I'm actually going to check and make sure that I've got this. Oh boy. I realize I've got the title of the live stream wrong. I don't know why it's got some old title from stuff we were doing with the Presidio Bitcoin crew. I don't know if I can edit this. Maybe not. Okay, I don't know. This is not at all about the Bitcoin Jam or any of that stuff. This is all pure vibe coding world. I don't know why it says that. But yeah. Anyway, so we're gonna start with I'm just like sharing my screen here, and let me make sure. Is this thing sharing on YouTube? I don't even know. I'm a little bit figuring this all out as it goes. Okay, yeah, I think it's going right. So yeah, so and by the way, I'm here kind of sharing this out. Just a bunch of friends had asked me about how I actually go about doing this, and so I wanted to just like share it once here. We can make something together on a video, and if you're watching live, feel free to chime in with chat or questions or other ideas. If you're watching this as a recorded video after the fact, that's fine too. But chime in, hit me on Twitter or something, and I can hopefully kind of answer questions, or would love to hear any feedback and discuss what we're trying here. So a couple kind of prerequisites. So like I said, we're building an iPhone app. It is, there's different kinds of iPhone apps you might want to build. Sometimes you just, like a lot of iPhone apps are quite simple and just need like a client. So you just need the iPhone code, like Swift code, that you can push that to the App Store directly. The thing that I wanted to do is actually a little bit trickier, which is going to involve a server as well. And so getting the server up and working in, kind of in a local environment first, and then having a place to host it and push that to a production environment is, they're also like, there's just a lot of little steps here. So I've done this before, and I expect I could do it again, and I expect it'll work, but we're kind of going to do it live here in raw and just sort of see where it goes. So there's no magic of editing or trickery here. This is just kind of, we'll watch and see what I can get done in this session. Some of the things that I've noticed is I've played with Cursor. I mentioned Replit. I played with that a lot. When doing iPhone apps, I've played with Cursor, Windsurf, Goose, Gemini CLI, and Claude Code, which are all kind of IDEs. And with each one of those, you sort of need to, have it configured with the underlying models that you want to use. So which kind of LLM API are you using? So you could use, like with Cursor, you could say, I want to use Cursor as my IDE and interface, but then I want to use, Gemini 2.5 Pro experimental as the underlying model. And Cursor makes it really easy to switch among those models. And I think Cursor is great. Windsurf is great. I've recently gotten into using these CLIs, these command line interface tools, and I find them like just a little bit simpler for me to kind of like do things quickly, easily. I'm pretty comfortable in the terminal, so I've been doing that a bunch. Um, but really up to you. You don't have to use the CLI tools that I'm using, and you can still accomplish the same thing. Like if you use Cursor or Windsurf, a lot of these and all of the things I'm going to do are basically reusable across those. Um, and the other thing is there's just like the workflow that I use to do this. I find it's just like very different than traditional software engineering. This is really vibe coding. This is really just like playing with things and ideas and a lot less like in the code dealing with stuff. Though there are some little configuration things and stuff that can be annoying. So what I would recommend is if you want to try to do your own kind of thing like this, um, don't worry if there's some parts that either I gloss over or some prep I may have already done that I may not think to highlight here. But you can just get comfortable asking the LLM that you're interacting with to help you with the next step. Tell it what you want to do. So, for example, maybe you need to figure out how to, you want to set up a local server. I'm working on a Mac OS environment, but say you want to set up a local server and, you know, you you don't know exactly how to do that, and maybe you have to like export an environment variable of the key to access the LLM API. So all of that, you could actually ask the LLM, say like, hey, I'm trying to set up a local server. How do I do that? And it'll kind of coach you through the steps or walk you through possibilities. And you can say, hey, I want to deploy to Supabase, or like in my case, I'm using DigitalOcean. You can say, I want to deploy the server to Supabase or to DigitalOcean. Help me do that. And they'll say, okay, go here, set up this account, paste this key and secret. And a lot of what you have to do here is secret management. So you have like secrets for the the APIs that you're using, that you're going to configure your command line interface, IDE, or your Cursor Windsurf IDE with these tools, with these secrets. And so I'm going to try to not leak my personal secrets, but it's possible that I do that inadvertently. So if you do see a secret get leaked, let me know in the chat. And if I do leak a secret, nobody tells me, I'm going to notice on my account getting run up, and I'll disable it soon enough, hopefully. So let's see, what else? Oh yeah, so because it's a couple things that I do have already done here is I do have like those environment variables set up on my Mac OS, and I do it through Z shell. So you can edit a file .zshrc, and you can configure your environment variables in your .zshrc file, and actually have I could get to sharing my screen here. So I'm going to share my entire screen. Hopefully you can see everything here. So let's see. Okay. Let me make sure that shows up properly on the thing here. Okay. Yeah, it looks like that's showing up. So you can see here, I've actually blurted out, I blacked out the actual keys so that you have to go get your own. Sorry, I'm not giving away free LLM credits as part of the video. But you can see I export, just regular export the path, but then you can see this one here, export Anthropic API key equals, and then there's some string that I got from the Anthropic development console, and I put a credit card into Anthropic. Once my credit card's there, I can create keys, and those keys could be per project. So maybe I would have a specific key for this project. I'm actually going to use the same key I've been using. So I just for simplicity, because I mostly just work on like hack projects and hobby projects. These aren't, professional production environment type things, though they could be, it's all set up to be used that way. I'm just so far just working on hobby projects. So, you go to the Anthropic console, put in your credit card, get a development key. And this is different than the Claude web app. Obviously, this is, search Google for like Anthropic development console or something, and you'll get the right place. you put your credit card in, you set up a key. You can set up just one key for all your projects, kind of what I do, or maybe I set one up for a few different projects. But and then I have separately a Gemini key because I sometimes use like Gemini's coding tool. I find the Claude Code and the Gemini coding LLMs like the best ones so far. Well, Claude Code is the IDE, but it uses the underlying LLM from Anthropic. So like Claude Sonnet 3.5, Sonnet 3.7. I think you can even use Opus 4, but I actually have not really gotten into switching models much. It kind of default switches some things. So that's part of the initial setup stuff. And then Gemini CLI is really good. I got into using that quite a bit for one of my recent projects. And you can just log in with like Google Auth. Like you launch the command line interface tool, Gemini CLI, and then you can auth with Google. And I think they give you like 1,000 free prompts a day or something. I'd say it's pretty good, and I've had really good experience with it. Though, if you're using the free tier, they often kind of kick you down to the lower tier models. So I don't mind paying the fees to make sure that I'm kind of using the best stuff at all times, because it really, the highest tier, highest quality models really do. They have a lot better understanding of all of what's going on. So that's part of the initial setup. And then I guess relatedly, if you want to do an iPhone app, you need to have Xcode installed, which is the development tool, the IDE from Apple to do iOS development. So you need Xcode installed, and then if you want to push stuff, even if you want to push test flights, I think you need a developer. You need to be part of their developer program, which I think is like $100 a year. So you have to kind of sign up and pay to be a part of the developer program, and then you can use Xcode, which is the IDE for the iOS client. So I've already done that. I'm not going to show how to do that. It's pretty easy. If you get stuck, use like Claude Code or Gemini CLI or whatever your favorite IDE tool is, where you're interacting with the LM. And just ask the LM, say like, hey, I want to use Xcode, or I want to develop an iOS app. Which IDE do I use? And it'll actually walk you through all the steps. So yeah, I would get like habituated or comfortable with just like asking the LLM like the next blocker for you. Think of it as like a teammate. Speak to it like you're speaking to an engineering teammate. Don't speak to it like you're speaking to a search engine. I think a lot of people fall into that trap that they think of like ChatGPT and Claude and all these great LLM tools as like search tools, and they like are that, but they're actually much more interactive, and they actually can hold context. They feel a lot more like you're talking to a human. So actually, you have to change your own behavior to think about it that way. Just ask it when you're blocked. Tell it what you're trying to do, and it'll give you steps and get unstuck. Or if it doesn't, say like, "Hey, give me this specific step to get me unstuck." So that's one thing. And then with Xcode, I've found some challenges with how it all, how it initiates projects. Like I find the LLM is not very good at setting up just the basic infrastructure of the iOS app. So what I like to do is start by, mkdir, so make directory, which is for the new project you're about to start, and name it with the project name, whatever you're doing. But do that with the file system with the terminal, and then go to Xcode, just launch it from your desktop, and choose that folder and be like open new project, and we'll go through those steps. But I would do it that way versus like you might think, oh, Xcode, I'll just start a new project in Xcode. Like I'm sure there's some way to make it work, but I've tried it with a bunch of different tools and not really figured out how to make that work well. So if you want, at least what I'm going to do, the simple thing is just try to do it the way that roughly I've done. Now, if you want to build a new app, of course you need an app idea, right? Like what are you going to build? And I recommend actually starting with something that you're just like genuinely excited about, because then you sort of have the energy to push forward on it. And I'd say like a lot of my excitement recently has been around just like, what can you do with AI, where like AI is not just the tool to create the thing. That's what we're doing with like, vibe coding and LLMs, but where like the user experience, whatever it is that results from that, you end up like learning. You end up using. You end up like creating an experience that almost like it just couldn't be done before AI. And the more that it's just like a chat thing where you're chatting with an AI or you're generating an image with an AI or something, those are cool. I think there's going to be like super interesting areas to explore there and kind of creative tools to make. But I find like the thing that is most interesting to me is where like the whole experience is something not only you couldn't do it with AI, but like the existing kind of chat interfaces sort of don't serve these use cases. Don't they? It kind of like breaks the pure chat paradigm. So I was reading last week this article. There's this blog called Implications written by Scott Belsky, and he has this few different what he calls, I guess, consumer AI product ideas. And so there was one, and I screenshotted this in the tweet where I was announcing this session. But he has a thing called Peanut Gallery, and so here's the concept. Peanut Gallery says, I shared previously a consumer app idea I was brewing called Peanut Gallery. Imagine a simple social app where you post a piece of media, and then you get dozens of witty, funny, informative, and supportive responses from a collection of 100 AI-powered characters that each have a very specific backstory and set of characteristics. Some of these characters can be historical figures like Ayn Rand, characters that are now in public domain. Some of these characters can be completely made-up personalities. Perhaps some of them are sanctioned digital twins operating on behalf of your friends with some degree of plausible deniability. These AI people comment on your posts and each other's comments. Sometimes they fight with each other. Only AI-powered characters are allowed to comment. The core novelty of the product is seeing all of the wild and hilarious AI-powered responses to your content and your friends' content. The responses roll in over 72 hours after every post, so users are constantly tempted to log in and see the latest. As a poster, you can also respond to the responses and start hilarious conversations with these AI personas as a public spectacle for your friends and others to watch and see. Philosophically, this is a way for humans to learn about AI, its limitations, and play with the idea of humans starting the conversation and seeing where the machines take it. Perhaps we use such environments to trial new posts and ideas before sharing with humans. Bigger picture, this idea introduces mechanics where we humans are the spectators, and typical social boundaries can be challenged with our autonomous digital representatives are able to act on their own accord. So one of the reasons I like this concept a lot is I think that like there's this big question that people keep asking, like, well, how will I know who on the internet is real when there's all these bots creating content? And sort of my kind of response to that is like, I'm not sure that I really care necessarily if I'm speaking with a human or a bot on the other side, as long as like the content or information I'm getting is good, or as long as I can sort of follow a person's story. Like if I'm never going to meet them in real life, why does it matter if they're a bot? I think it's totally fine for it to be a bot. There's probably good information that could be surfaced by a bot, and there's probably people who act like bots. So I'm sort of tuned into this idea already. And then separately, I think the idea of like being able to simulate social interactions is like a really rich, and actually he calls his next idea social simulations. But I think this whole category, like Peanut Gallery in a sense, is a social simulation. And you can like try things out and see how it feels to do something. And it feels like this whole concept is very awkward and weird and strange, but actually that's what I like about it. So the first step I would take when thinking about building something like this is actually not to necessarily drop it right into the command line tool and start building, but I actually like starting with ChatGPT. And one of the reasons I like starting with ChatGPT is because it is not going to try to build the thing. And the other is I like to use it as like a place to start exploring the idea. So let's say I'm going to build an iPhone app that does the following. Can you help me think through, all the details that might be missing? I want to make a simple focused V1 that I can push to a test flight soon, we can do more extensive features over time. So I kind of like to tell it what I'm doing, just like I would tell a human. And I'm not, notice, I'm telling this to ChatGPT 4.0. I'm not telling this to Claude Code, or I'm not using a command line interface IDE or any of the things that I'm actually going to do. So step one is don't open the IDE. Step one is like actually do a little bit of planning of what it should be. And a lot of times you have a concept. I mean, this seems to be true in like coding projects. And I've been like creating videos, and I find I do a very similar thing in videos, because I want to create a video. Instead of prompting the video I have in mind, first like meta prompt. You think about like, okay, here's the concept of what I have in mind. Ask me more questions so we can hammer out the details. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. So I'm going to actually copy and paste this from the blog post, the peanut gallery idea. I'm going to copy and paste, and we're going to send ChatGPT to work on it. And my hope is it asks me about sort of problems that may come up, or what else to think about for the V1, or trade-offs that were not explicit. We need to make them more concrete so that we can know which side of the trade-off we're going to take. The core user experience post flow: users upload a piece of media, image or short video. Yeah, I mean, I'd be even happy to start with just image, but it sounds fine. Add a caption is optional. Confirm and submit the post. So that all makes sense. And I feel like it's going to work really well with photos, and kind of still images would be like a really good one, because I know that at least the underlying models that would be doing this analysis is going to the underlying models are multimodal models are really good at like analyzing what's going on in an image, and so it can actually, like, the comments on the post could be like the comments on the post could be relevant to some detail of what's going on in the post, which can make it very real feeling. AI response engine, 100 characters responding over a rolling 72-hour window. Responses are visible to all viewers, staggered, 10 in first hour, 15 next, etc. Structured as thread replies. Characters can reply to each other. And so already I can see this staggered 10 in the first hour. That's great, but while we're developing, I would almost feel like we want 10 in the first 10 seconds or 10 in the first minute. So we kind of want to speed up time. Even though it got the spec right, I kind of want to have more of a test development cycle where I can do it faster. User interaction. Users can tap a comment to expand it, reply to an AI's comment, public thread, react emoji or +1 to comments. But users cannot post top-level comments. That's AI only. Feed, see your own posts and latest AI responses. See your friends' posts with the same AI ensemble in action. So yeah, I think all of that is fine. I almost would rather go without the feed for V1 and just, I don't know, maybe we could do the feed, but it feels like I've done like feeds and stuff before, and they can get a little tricky with synchronization and pull to refresh, and like, I don't know, like I'd be fine not doing the feed for V1 and just doing like the post and the incoming comments, basically. I think that's the thing that'll feel like magic and new and different. And then, like, if we do that and we like how that's feeling, then we can, make a feed version of it later, would kind of be my instinct. Let's see what it says. So key technical pieces for V1: AI engine, fine-tuned LLM or API calls for each character, prompt template, master prompt template that sets tone, voice, and personality. Context window includes original media and caption. Other AI responses to enable back and forth. Poster identity, which is optional. Content and character system, 100 AI personas with backstories, writing tone examples, character level guardrails, mark certain characters as feisty, supportive, esoteric, etc. Content moderation, initial hardcore filters for NSFW content uploads, AI hallucination flags, violence and offensive, optional post approval flow for TestFlight, pre-screen upload. I don't really want to pre-screen uploads. It's like, everybody's kind of going to be working in their own silo. So if they're doing stuff that would be offensive, they're only going to offend themselves, I think or hope. Backend infra, media upload and storage. Yeah. AI generation, queue timing, DB. And they're suggesting like Firebase, Supabase, AWS. So this is one of the places where we're kind of going to write a spec. So what I'd like to do is make sure that we are writing the spec to using it with DigitalOcean, which is kind of where I've been deploying things. future expansions. So post TestFlight, so new mechanics, social mechanics optimization, onboarding AI or pitch deck for collaborators. So I think I want to do like a very simple focus thing. So a post should be there. See rolling AI responses should be there. AI characters respond. That should be there. User can reply to AI publicly. Yeah, that seems good. And the notifications, I feel like notifications kind of core. So I'd move it from, let's say notifications are must have for V1. Just because like, yeah, I might not remember to open the thing. And I even want to have them organized inside the app with like a notifications, bell or something. Feed of your friends posts, I don't think that's that important. Let's skip feed of your friends post for V1. Invite system and share links, we don't need for V1. Voting and reactions, one emoji, no upvotes yet. Yeah, I think that's fine. It's like a like or something. Digital twin characters, friends is future, and user profiles is optional. Yeah, that all sounds right to me. So like really, let's focus on the core, create a post, and then see what flies there. That's like the fun part, I think. That's what'll be kind of, will feel very different and interesting. So, yeah, so let's see if we, oh, this is the one. So responses are staggered. So I want to tell it responses are staggered. For testing, let's have these roll in within the first 30 seconds. So I do want, I guess, I said 10 seconds. That's probably too fast. I do want 30 seconds so I can kind of see them happening. And I want to kind of be able to watch them roll in. Like we can spread it out later, but I want to be able to sort of test it, upload something, watch responses roll in, refresh, watch more responses roll in. So I need a little bit of time to sort of get a sense of that, but I don't want to wait around for certainly not even minutes. I just kind of want to be able to iteratively test it. Users upload an image or short video under 15 seconds. Let's not support video for V1. Just seems it's, so I'm basically iterating to try to get the spec for something that's focused, right? Because I don't want to start going into an LLM with this. Well, a coding LLM. They can do stuff like this, but I kind of like to keep it a little bit separated so I collect my thoughts without, sometimes coding LLM wants to get into the coding process. So I kind of want to, we're in the planning process right now. So, so let's see here. So post flow, user selects an image from the camera roll or takes one, sure. Optional caption, text only, sure. Tap to submit, sounds good. AI response system, 10 to 20 AI characters respond within 30 seconds. Responses are staggered, random delays. Characters also reply to each other. Poster can publicly reply to AI responses. Only AI can post top-level responses. Shows the image and caption. Streams AI responses live. Tap to reply and react. So I'm impressed if it's going to stream AI responses live. I wonder if it's going to do like WebSockets or something. It doesn't even need me to pull to refresh, which is kind of cool. If it wouldn't surprise me if it could figure that out, but that's almost like slicker than I imagined it would do for kind of a V1. Certainly, if we were hand coding this, we would not do that until we were a little bit more advanced. Tap to reply and react to any comment, to any AI comment. Sounds good. Clean thread style UI, notifications, sent as response to roll in, your AI character is reacting. Yeah, I don't know that I needed to say your AI character is reacting. I just want to know like who character name just dropped new response. Optional follow-up push 5 to 10 minutes after post. Yeah, that seems fine too. Use Firebase messaging or OneSignal. So let's skip push notifications for now and just do in-app notifications. I just want to see them organized in one place so I can kind of see how I tap it and it opens up the thing. So final scope, no push. Post view screen, react to AI comments, reply to any comment, in-app notifications, 10 replies, so-and-so replied, don't start a debate with so-and-so. I don't even love the start a debate thing, but I don't need to keep iterating this really, like we can fix some of it once we're in the coding process. But so it doesn't need to be like, we're not trying to get this perfect. We're just trying to get it like focused enough that it has a chance of doing something reasonable. So the comment generation, it's saying GPT-4 Turbo, seems fine. Prompts include description of the image. Yeah. Backend stack users. Oh, and I didn't tell it yet. I mentioned out loud, but I didn't tell it yet. I intend to deploy the backend and storage to DigitalOcean instead of the alternatives you mentioned. So just gonna put that up there, just because I've done other projects with it, so it's all pretty standard. DigitalOcean is pretty easy to work with, especially the app platform makes it pretty easy. So I'm gonna use that. Talk about sort of how the tables work, how the server is going to work. We are going to use third-party callouts, and I think the OpenAI API is good. And so to do this in the development environment, we need to have an OpenAI API key in our .zshrc, so that when we launch the server from the Mac OS terminal, we can it'll have the environment variable with the key so that it can make those calls and debit from my OpenAI account, my API usage account. And then when we deploy it to DigitalOcean, we actually need to take that same key or create another key for production if we want to keep it separate. But DigitalOcean has a secrets section, in the settings where you sort of set up environment variables. You can set up your secrets as part of the environment variables in DigitalOcean. So that turns out to be pretty easy, but just more steps, more stuff. You just kind of gotta think about it and know. And did we talk at all? I don't know if we talked about, are we doing Swift in Python? That's I'm gonna check with it. Are we doing Swift in Python? So Swift would be for the Swift is how you write the iOS code, or how it will write the iOS code, and then Python with Fast API. Fast API recommended for async AI calls. That sounds good. I've used Fast API in other projects and it worked well. So yeah, so I think we kind of have. So now I'm going to tell it. Remember, I'm not using this as a search tool. Think about it. I'm using it like an engineering teammate. So I'm going to say, let's take our consolidated V1 spec, including technologies we intend to use, and prepare a final rev and document that I can paste into a coding tool to begin the coding work. Here's your consolidated peanut gallery V1 spec, structured clearly for copying into a coding tool. Repo, README, or spec. Okay, so it's working. Seems to be a little slower than usual, but it seems to be, we'll get there. And so while it's doing that, I'm going to go over here. Hopefully you can now see, this is just my, Mac OS terminal environment. And so I put everything in like a ~dev. So you can see just like a bunch of the projects that I've been working on. And so what I'm going to do, just to start from scratch, I'm going to do makedir on this new project, and we'll call it peanut-gallery. And the reason I'm doing this is because, as I mentioned, I want to open Xcode into a project that I sort of want to open Xcode and treat it. Sorry, that was wrong. I want to open Xcode and start a new project. So I started makedir in the file system. Now I'm going to start a new project, and we're going to call it Peanut Gallery. Swift, all good. And then we'll create it there. already exists. That's fine. We can. Okay. I just made it. I just made it from the terminal, and then did we blow it away? I think, or did we? Yeah. Okay. Good. So everything is there. And the first thing I want to do before we do any coding, or any, changes to it, I actually want to try to clean the thing. I'm not going to run it on I'll run it on a simulator device. So here is, if you're not doing a lot of Xcode, you might not be familiar with sort of the Xcode layout, but here's where I can change and make it a simulator instead of my own physical device. And I can do clean build folder and product run. So the clean succeeded. When I run, it's going to build it. Oh, a build only device must be okay. I guess, I don't know. Maybe let's do an iPhone 16 Pro. So we'll do run on the iPhone 16 Pro. Build succeeded. We should just get a hello world here, and I'm just gonna confirm that the live stream is showing this all properly, because I don't know. Okay, it looks like it's got, yeah, so it's putting Peanut Gallery on the simulator, and I'm gonna tap on that, and it should be hello world, because there's nothing really in it yet. So it's initializing. Let's see how that. I thought usually the default was it would give you a hello world, but it's somehow, it's not doing that right now. Did I do something wrong? It looks like it launched something, but maybe there's just nothing. I'm sort of horrible at this. I don't know. These controls, I never seem to get them to work right. So it's just like a dark mode thing, or I don't know. This okay, here, oop, there we go. Okay, it probably just had some initialization stuff, and I bet it's just not it's probably my computer is just a little slow because I'm running like the streaming software. Okay, so there's our hello world. So we have kind of our base empty iPhone project that now it says hello world. So I'm going to consider that. I'm going to actually close that window for now. So now we have the basics. We basically had Xcode set up the whole project here. Yeah, and I guess I didn't even need to then do the maker that I did. You can probably just do it directly from Xcode. And then once you're here, so I'm in the Peanut Gallery folder here. And from here, I will start Claude. You trust the files. So I'm going to say, yes, this is fine. Welcome to Claude Code. So you can create these, instructions. Claude Code, I haven't really set it up super, in a super sophisticated way. This is, mostly just out of the box style usage of Claude Code. But you can see, it's just inside my macOS terminal, I'm running that. And then I like to keep another terminal. I just did Command N to open a new terminal window. I like to keep another terminal window open where it can do the server. And so, like I said, again, we want to keep thinking about this as a teammate, an engineer on your team, not as like a search engine, right? So one of the first things I'll do is like, I like to just make sure it understands where we are. Can you familiarize yourself with the existing code and let me know what's going on? So it's going to do that. And while it's doing that, I'm going to go back to, we'd asked ChatGPT to finish up the stack. It was working on that. And it actually like came up with simplified data models, a backend API. So it, it has code, but it's not like, it's not going to try to execute the code. It's just sort of defining a spec for how we think the thing should be structured. So they recommend a file structure. I actually would have preferred to just have like a copy paste that I can copy directly in, because like I'm not going to copy these models separately. I mean, the models I think look pretty good and make sense. But I'm going to check Peanut Gallery V1 specification. I just want to confirm this final version looks pretty good. No user profiles, login, or social graph. So I think that's a good starting point. Swift UI, UI for image upload and caption, viewing, streaming, real time. So this is still all looking good. OpenAI, GPT-4 Turbo, sign, distant prompt, optional backstory. Image storage, post, okay. Yeah, so I don't even know that I'm going to copy these data models, even though I agree they look about right. But presumably whatever coding tool I use will also generate something similar to that. And it's like, I don't know that it copies well. AI comment stagger logic. Okay, so I'm going to now take this thing. I'm just going to copy it out of ChatGPT 4.0. Oh, and actually, I guess it does. It is copying it fine. Is it getting all these other code things? Yeah, it is. Okay, so, and then I'm going to read what I'd ask Claude Code to just tell me what it sees. So I'll explore the code base, list, blah, 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 read. This is a brand new Swift UI iOS app called Peanut Gallery with minimal boilerplate code. So yeah, that's exactly what it is. So now I'm going to take the all of this specking that we did in ChatGPT 4.0, and I'm going to just paste the whole thing, 121 lines. I'm going to paste it into Claude Code, and it's going to go to work. Now, it would not surprise me if this part starts to take a little bit of time, because it's it gives you this nice update to-dos list. So set up backend fast API. Okay, finish that. Let me create the backend project. Do you want to proceed? When it says, do you want to proceed? It's doing things like make dir, it's like going to touch your file system. So it's like trying to be cautious and make sure, you wouldn't want it to like blow away your whole file system or touch files that you don't want it touching. It'll create a requirements.txt. That actually just helps with some of the configuration stuff. I'd say that is doing fine. So at this point, you can kind of go off and, like wait for it to do its stuff. I'll just look through. Okay, cool. I'm just checking out what people, if there's any questions that popped up. I don't see any. Few things popped up on Twitter, but I just want to make sure if people have ideas or questions and stuff that we're addressing those, because we've got a little bit of downtime while Claude Code does all this work. And like I said, I've been using Claude Code recently. I used the Gemini CLI thing before, and I found that really effective. I thought that was really good. Oh yeah, we've got a comment on Twitter from Alex Nasita, and he said warp.dev is good. That's actually one that I've intended to use. I haven't set it up yet, but I've heard lots of really, really good things about that. And I'm always playing with new IDEs and trying to understand better, what are the trade-offs for each tool. One of the things with Claude Code that is like a little constraining is I think it's a little trickier. I haven't really tried hard on this, but you can, I think you can configure different LLMs to use, but by default, it just uses whatever LLMs it feels like using, which is, Claude ones, which are quite good. So it's really good because it uses great defaults and it switches between them kind of automatically. But if you wanted to try, like there's a few of these new ones, like I've been meaning to try, I think Grok 4 now has an API, and I've heard good things about it. So I want to try that. And then there's this new open source one, Kimi K2 by Moonshot, which is kind of supposed to be a really, really high quality coding tool that's an open source one. So a little bit like, DeepSeek, helped out a lot in kind of the traditional LLM chat thing. But I don't know if I've even used DeepSeek for coding. I don't think I have. But I think it's not really designed or trained or tuned that way. Whereas, I think Kimi K2 is supposed to be a really good coding model. And you can see this update to-dos if we, I don't know if you can read this, but update to-dos, so it's implement AI character system with OpenAI integration, build comment staggering and thread logic. My guess is it doesn't have access to an OpenAI API key right now. I'm trying to think, because I think I just had a Gemini and an Anthropic in the ZSHRC file that I showed. So if it doesn't have an OpenAI API key, my guess is it will just ask me for that when it needs it. Because I do want to run kind of a test of this thing in the I want to run like a local test before deploying it. When you deploy it to like DigitalOcean, each deploy cycle, you make some changes and you push it out to DigitalOcean, and it does its own deployment thing, and like that whole process can take minutes at a time, which is fine for production push environment. But if you're kind of like actively developing and want to kind of make quick changes, it's not that good, for making. You kind of want to just do everything locally, because you can make a change and like a second later, you don't even have to relaunch the server. Most of the time, it'll just it'll be relaunched. I think there's like a parameter in Fast Uvicorn that just automatically reloads it. So, and it looks like we're on the last three things. I don't know if it's doing it in parallel, but it seems to be they're all green right now. That it's implementing iOS post viewing, add reply functionality and reactions, create in-app notification system, and then it's creating a README to document how to do it. So we're okay. I think it finished with its first attempt. Now this doesn't mean like go home, everything's done. It's just like, okay, it's got all the basics out there now. So key features working. So image upload, user selects photos and adds captions, AI characters, 20 personalities, Maya the cheerleader, sarcastic Sam, Detective Davies. Staggered comments, AI responses roll in over 30 seconds after posting. And then ready to test. The implementation follows your exact specification with all core V1 features. So it claims we have the app ready to go. Set up the backend with your API keys and database. Run Python createDB to create the tables. Start the Fast API server. Open the iOS app and Xcode and test. So I think I need probably an environment variable for OpenAI. And I wonder if that's... I did this before. I have that environment variable stored in a .m file for another project. So my guess is that's the right way to do this. But unfortunately, that part of it I can't share because that is a private key. So I'm going to, I'll just tell you what I'm doing right now is I'm going into my dev directory here, and I'm looking at a project I did before, and I'm looking, there's a thing called a .env file that lives in the server directory. So basically you have like the iPhone app, and then you have a server directory hanging off of that kind of root. And I thought we had a .env file in the server directory. Oh, I didn't go there yet. Okay. Where did I store that? So I'm going to ask the LLM here. I'll go back to screen share because I'm not, unfortunately, I'm not on the part where I can see my my MP. So would you set up the API keys in a .env file? Make the file and tell me where it is. All right, so again, I'm just kind of treating it like a teammate. Kind of like pair programming. It's talking about the production environment. So I wanted to first run it locally on a server, but I think we need to have an OpenAI key in the environment because it's trying to configure the keys for DigitalOcean, which is like a production environment. Okay, yeah. So it put it. I thought before when I did this, I thought we listed it in a server directory, and this has a .env in a backend directory, which is not what I was expecting. I mean, it's fine. It's just, I guess, a little surprising that it's different. So I'll just talk through what I'm doing here because I have to have to turn the thing off again. So add your OpenAI key. So it's telling me to put the OpenAI key into a peanut gallery / backend / .env. Change the database to SQLite, run the backend. So I'm going to go here to this other project. Let's go back to Peanut Gallery. And okay, yeah, they called it backend. My other one, they called it server. I don't know. Okay, and they do have a .env file set up here. And so I'm going to reconfirm that I'm not actually streaming this part out. I can talk to you, but I can't screen share this part. So yeah. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to talk you through what I'm doing. So I'm going to go to chat. There's like OpenAI developer console or something. I'm going to search Google, hit the OpenAI platform page. On the OpenAI platform page, I'm going to go to the dashboard. On the dashboard, I'm going to go to the API keys section. Okay, so actually I can share this part. So I'm going to just share what my screen looks like right now, right before I actually generate the new key. So you can see my API keys and create a new secret key. And I can name the key. So I'm going to call it the Peanut Gallery. I'll call it local key. And before I click create key, now I'm going to stop sharing. Okay, so I'm going to create the key. Now I have to copy that key. And I'm going to go into the terminal. And where we had a section called your OpenAI key here, I'm just going to paste that key and save it. And now I have, so this is so that when we run the app locally from my local macOS here, we can, we can call OpenAI to generate the characters that are going to be interacting with my post. So that is looking good. I think that should do it. And then it has okay, so I'm going to come back to screen sharing now so you can follow along. You're watching this. Okay, you can see my screen share. So I've added the OpenAI API key to the .env, and you confirm that, well, I'll say, please don't leak the key to the screen here. I'm on a public live stream. I don't think it would anyway, but I'm just gonna, and then it's talking about like changing the database and stuff. So, okay, it says it can see the API key, and of course it leaked it. Thank you very much. So we'll use that for now, but then I'll turn that off and generate a new one because now that key is leaked out. I guess some bot may be getting it. So I'm gonna have to stop screen sharing. I don't think this is really gonna be a problem right now, but I just don't want to get some bot on the internet finding a leaked API key. So I'm going to revoke that key. I'm going to create a new one. And I'm going to, I just don't want some bot to hammer my account with API requests, and then I get a multi-million-dollar bill that I owe OpenAI at the end of the month. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new key on OpenAI. Now I'm not sharing the screen. The new key, I'm going to paste into that same place. So it'll just be a different one than the one we just leaked. It's funny, like I was pretty explicit, don't leak this. And it was like, okay, got it. Here you go. It's leaked. You got to be ready for AIs. I have a friend who says, like, when you're working with, a LLM, you got to think of it as like a drunk intern. It like does some of the stuff you want, and it's kind of good, but then it also like does some things horribly wrong. So you kind of have to be a little bit careful with it. Like I explicitly told it, don't leak the key because I'm on a public live stream, and then it leaked it. Okay, so now I'm going to screen share again. I think we're done with that key management part. I'm going to just tell it, you leaked my OpenAI key. I had to change it. Anything you show in this terminal is viewable by the public internet, so please don't do that anymore. Now watch, it's going to do exactly the thing I asked it not to, because it... Okay. You're absolutely right. I should never display sensitive credentials in output. The good news is Fast API is now running successfully. So it is running the server, which is kind of cool. Oh, this is going to cause a problem, though, because it's running it on 0000 port 8000. And to do a local... Well, you know what I can do? I can run it on the simulator. I think that might work. So it says it's ready. The server's ready to receive requests from the iOS app. Now, normally I like to build on my physical device and use that to contact my server. And to do that, I need to use ifconfig to figure out the IP address of my local device. Then I need to tell the LLM, put that as a base URL in the iOS app that we're going to compile, so that it can reach this actual, this device can reach the server, the one that I'm streaming on here. So that's if you want to run on your physical device. It decided to run the Fast API server on 0000 localhost port 8000, which I think there's no way to make that work with the physical device, but I think it will work with the simulator. I've only done the physical device way, which is kind of harder. So this way might actually be simpler. So why don't we try this? So now we'll go back to Xcode. You can see Xcode now. And now Xcode, you can see, like, we'll just poke around just to confirm, but you can see there's these media URLs, upload URLs, etc. Like, this is all code that Claude Code wrote for us. So this is basically like exclamation mark triangle, post data is loading. This is how to fetch a post, how to load a post, how to refresh a post, start polling. So you can see that it did a bunch of work, and it generally looks good. Like, it's nice you can see the code. You don't have to read all the code and understand it all, but it's nice to know that it's available in case you want to. So I'm now going to clean the build folder, and we're going to just try to build it and see if it will build. And the build failed. Okay, so we only got one problem, which is not bad. I like that. Convert value of type URL. So what you could do is you could try to debug this yourself, but you have this wonderful LLM. So what I like to do is just copy that and paste it in here. And I preface it with the word error, because if you just paste that thing directly, it thinks you're trying to run a command. But if you just say error : and then you can probably just say, like, blah, this didn't work. But I'm going to run that, and I'm basically telling it this thing didn't compile. So now it says I need to fix that error in the API service. The issue is in the get post method where I'm passing a URL instead of URL request. Fixed. Okay, so it says it's fixed. So let's go. We're going to go back to the project. Oh, you know what else I like to do is I like to hit. So if you hit Peanut Gallery, this is far on the left. There's this kind of folder thing. Then the name of your app is this top thing, and then General and Target. And I always like to start my versions like way back, like 0.001 and build 0, so that it's like really, really basic. And I'm going to just throw in a category entertainment. I actually like to keep the iOS like maybe one OS back so that it doesn't push everybody to like update if you have any problems. And sometimes you need to add signing capability or info. So you might add, like, if you want to add like you need your app needs to access the camera permissions, which we're going to need. You need to add a thing in this info section to do that. So it didn't ask for that. So I'm betting this is not going to work. But first, let's just get it building properly. I bet it's pretty good. Build succeeded. Okay, so that's good news. So the whole thing builds. Now I'm going to try to run it. I'm not expecting it all to work perfectly right now. I suspect it will need at least that camera permission in the target properties. But we're running it. It's installing it on the iPhone 16 Pro in the simulator. So this is our simulator. You can see it's installing a new version of Peanut Gallery. And last time we looked at this, just whatever that was, a half hour ago, it just gave us a hello world. And now it actually has an app. Okay, so that's good. I bet when we choose photo, it's gonna fail though. Oh, because it's in the simulator, it just has these default images. So we'll upload this as if this is our photo, add a caption, and I'll say our trip to Yosemite. I know this is not Yosemite, but it was so beautiful. So that's my post. So I'm going to post gallery, and I can see here. I think it's going. Okay. So a couple things you want to watch is the Xcode console is this section down here. You can see, some of it is just like chatty, problems and whatever. Some of it are real problems. We don't have visibility of the server log right here. Usually I run the server in a separate terminal, but right now it decided to run it, so that's fine. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this console. So I'm going to just go over here and then do Command A, Command C. So I just copy that. I'm going to just dump the whole console. There's 25 lines. I'm going to dump it into Claude Code. And it's basically like, here's what I'm seeing on, this is stuff that the iOS app output. So it says the iOS app can't connect to the backend server. The error shows connection refused when trying. Yeah. Backend server isn't running. Oh, it's not. Okay. That's some ideas. So there's two things. iOS simulator networking. So I expected there to be a networking problem. It's now going to try a different way of addressing the server. And I think if we keep it on the, and it is going to run Unicorn again on, it is running it within the LLM. I prefer to run it outside because then I can see the server logs. And I don't know, sometimes I'd rather have it analyze server logs that I choose instead of just have all the server logs constantly running. Because now it has to be running that thing. It's kind of annoying. Anyway, I might change that later if I were getting more in the weeds on this. But for now, let's see if that worked. I'm like 20% confident that's going to improve things, but I still think it may have trouble addressing it. But like I said, I don't really use the simulator a lot. I like to build on a real device. I'm just going to post with no thing. Yeah, and it's got NSURL error domain. So I think my guess is that is still having trouble with server connectivity. So I've got a new console. I'm telling it again like a teammate. I've got a new console log to share. This still does not appear to be working. I would prefer to run the server, and I'm going to say the local server myself. Can you share the startup command, which is going to be like a uvicorn command. And then, oops, yeah, I did shift enter. I like to actually just paste the console in. And then here's the console. I'm going to paste the 11 lines from Xcode console in so that it knows what went wrong. And then it's telling me go to this backend thing. So this is basically what I'm going to do is, oh, actually, we also didn't configure the database that it had recommended. So I actually want to ask it to do all the database setup. I don't want to do it myself. But oh, address already in use. Did it not take it down? Server will run. You can test it by visiting. So I'm just going to make sure that it is in fact running the way it claims to be. Yeah, it looks like it's running fine. Unit gallery version, API version 1, looks good. Let's see. Looks like it's running okay. iOS app is still trying to connect. Why is it already in use? I'm just going to send it. So I like to do this. I just like send it. Yeah, I think Claude Code may be running this. So I'm going to let it kill the existing one that's running. The server should start cleanly now. Once it's running, it should show that. So I thought before I was always starting with uvicorn itself, but okay. So now this is good. So now it says application startup complete. So this is actually my server. I can now watch the log as things are happening, and I can still interact with the LLM separate from watching the log, which I find to be good. It's done another rev where it just changed the base URL. So my guess is that's in the Swift. So my guess is that same base URL thing I was describing that I do for my physical device, it needs to do for this the simulator. So I did a clean build again, and I'm going to run again, and it's going to launch this again on the simulator. And we're going to choose a photo, do the waterfall. An amazing trip to Yosemite. It's got a bunch of past invalid numeric values. Okay, I think there's some problems, but nothing super. Nothing there looks horrible to me anyway. I don't know. Okay, now we're gonna hit post, and then it'll post, and we'll see what the server says. So hit the post upload URL. It's got these sockets, which is probably like it waiting. Let's see, the server's not doing anything, the client's not doing anything. Is it just waiting like 10 seconds for the first notification to roll in? I don't know. I'm thinking it is stuck. Yeah, okay. Oh yeah, NSURL error domain. I think it's still not getting the I don't think the simulator is connecting to the server. Should we use ifconfig to figure out the actual IP address of this machine? And so I'm asking that, and I'm also just pasting the console in. I often, with any subsequent ask, I often like to ask it to, I also like to just paste the console or paste the server log in, just because it, helps me. So you can see here, instead of hitting this kind of local address, it actually is hitting, changing the base URL to be what shows up with ifconfig. So we're gonna have the simulator now talk to the server as if it's more like on the internet instead of if it's just a local. So we're gonna clean, we're gonna build and run. I'm just gonna run it, which also builds it as a side effect of running it. Okay, I'm gonna choose a photo. I'm gonna choose the waterfall again. I'm gonna say waterfall in Yosemite. I'm gonna pull up the server again to watch. So when I hit post, we should see another. I could not connect to the server. So I'm just gonna grab this console. That looked a little more promising, but it actually kind of regressed and no longer even. Oh yeah, I guess because it did have the upload URL before, so it's not like it didn't connect to the server. It was properly connecting to the server. Something else was wrong. iOS is trying to connect to that, but still getting connection refused. The server is still listening on the other port. Oh, because we didn't launch it with the restart. Yeah, of course. Okay. Okay. Let's try it again. I'm going to just let it start over. That was my bad. Yosemite is amazing. Okay, I'm going to hit post. Okay, good. So now this confirms that the simulator did talk to the server. So if something else is problematic, it's not doing anything. So now I'm going to show the two things you want to make sure the server. So I'm going to say server showing this. Oops, I'm going to escape. So I'm going to say server showing this, and you need to do option enter to do a new line. And then console, meaning the iPhone console showing this. And then I'm going to copy this console. And then I'm going to explain app is not progressing past the post creation process. That is, I tapped post to gallery and nothing happened. So I'm, again, just reporting what I see on the server, what I see on the iOS device. Oh boy. Getting an error, which is usually HTTP bad. This is likely we don't have DigitalOcean spaces. Okay, so because I told it we were doing DigitalOcean, it's kind of a little more prepped for production than I expected, which is fine. I should have mentioned probably that I was going to run it locally first. Okay. Weird. Just want to make sure I'm not missing some stuff here. Okay, so server should automatically reload with the changes, 3 additions, 3 removals. So this looks good. I'm just going to clarify now. To clarify, DigitalOcean will be the production environment, but we should first get everything working locally. So storage, server, etc., all locally on this Mac. Yeah, so probably some configuration problems. Also, often I use the uvicorn command directly with a minus reload at the end, which causes it to just reload. I'm not sure if when I run it with Python 3 main if it's doing that. It says stat reload detected changes, so maybe it does. Okay, so it's making a few changes to make sure that it's set up with like local versions of this thing instead of images are going to be stored in backend uploads, which is locally on this Mac. Images are served at this place with the file name. Database is SQLite, local file. AI uses your OpenAI API. Restart your server. I'm just gonna restart there. That looks good. Uvicorn is running. It's running on that very local hosty kind of thing, which seems fine, I guess. Maybe that wasn't a problem before anyway. So this gives you the full experience locally. Okay, so I'm gonna clean build. I'm gonna run this thing on the sim again. Okay, and we get it working. Yosemite is amazing this time of year. I mean, all times of year. Okay, so now we can see this .jpeg actually hit there. So it actually hit the server with the upload of the image that I did, but it says unprocessable entity. I wonder if it... I'm just going to dump that in. Error domain. Failed to open. Ah, yeah, see, this is the plist stuff. So I suspect that's because we don't have... everything... Okay, it was restarting the server. I'm kind of thinking... no, it was able to access the camera. It's not maybe a permission thing. The server should automatically reload and accept raw image data. It should. It looks like it did. So that looks fine. Server should start commenting. The uploaded image will be stored there and accessible there. Okay, that all looks good. And you know, I'm gonna try this thing. I'm gonna try cleaning it and building it again. Just because I'm feeling a little lucky. I don't know that it'll work. I kind of think it might, but I don't know. Yosemite is the best. Ah, okay. I don't know why. It just looked more promising. So it actually did make it further. So you can see I uploaded the picture and and here they go. Yeah, so Yosemite is the best. And then Meme Lord Mike says, yo, that view is straight out of a Bob Ross painting. Happy little trees vibes all the way. Ain't gonna lie, it's giving me major distracted boyfriend meme feels. Except he's not looking for another girl. He's looking at Yosemite. Nature is lit. Dad joke Dan, Yosemite really rocks, doesn't it? It's definitely not taken for granted. Oh, Yosemite, that takes me back to a family camping trip in '86. The smell of pine trees, the sound of the waterfall. I can almost feel the marshmallows roasting over the campfire. So, Grandma Rose, fashionista, punny Pete, artist Aria, bookworm Bella. I mean, I feel like a major Yosemite influencer right now. Because like, look at all these... I mean, they're all bots, obviously, but look at all these people replying to my post on Yosemite. Now, and imagine these things stripped out at you. You know, you got a new one every few minutes. So, you know, over the course of the next 72 hours, as the original spec explained. So I would say this is basically working. Add a caption. This waterfall is even better. I think it is pouring out of the granite wall in a beautiful pattern. I guess that's not actually granite, is it? It looks a little different. So now we're going to post a gallery, and We're waiting. There's no responses yet. And now here's Science Steve saying, absolutely magnificent. The fluid dynamics at play here are astounding. Gravity pulls the water downwards while the shape of the granite guides its flow, creating this splendid pattern. Wow, this waterfall is like the sweat pouring down after an intense cardio workout. So I think it's kind of good. I think it's doing what we asked it to do. Now, just as a little check here, I was going to say, why don't we go to the OpenAI, the platform, and let's look at the dashboard, and let's look at the usage. And so we should be able to see, this is I use the same key for a bunch of projects. So you can see, probably today we've mostly done this project. So we've spent 85 cents. No, we made 6 requests. That's probably some other projects too. So you can just kind of see some of the usage metrics, which is kind of interesting. So this is, the API in OpenAI, how we're using it. It's pretty good, I'd say. So, okay, so I think we basically have, we have the basics of what we set out to do here. Now, okay, the goal was go from 0 to TestFlight in an hour or so. We're at an hour 22. I think I spent a bunch of the initial time with sort of preamble explaining what we were about to do and then kind of finally doing it. But I think this thing could credibly be done. Now, next steps, what would I actually do? I'm actually going to cut the stream before we get to the actual test flight. But if you're interested, I think I am going to do a little bit more work on this because it is kind of fun and funny for me. But I think next steps, I think I would want to push, like, if I wanted to get this into a test flight, I actually do want to push the production environment to DigitalOcean. Now, if you're starting from scratch and don't have a DigitalOcean account, you'll have to go there and sign up, and then there's some, like, give it the key, set up a thing on the app platform, set up a storage thing in their Spaces tool, and there's a few little configuration things. But the good news is Claude Code can walk you through all of it, so you don't actually have to, like, it's not a heavy lift. You just, like, follow the instructions, and Claude Code can help you make a recipe. And if you get stuck, just copy paste things, dump it in Claude Code, be like, hey, I'm stuck. This is what I'm getting. What should I do next? And it will guide you along and usually can resolve it. It doesn't always fully understand, like, probably has some older understanding of how the DigitalOcean interface is structured. But you'll want to get kind of the, your deployment environment set up and rely on that to help you. And then when you're actually doing your final packaging, like, once you're happy with the state of the app, you can go to Xcode and you just change this to any iOS device, and then you go to product, you do a clean, and then you do this archive feature. Instead of run, you do archive. And when you do archive, actually, I'll just show you how that works. We'll set that peanut gallery to archive, build succeeded. So then when we're here, you can see we're distributing peanut gallery, creation date, version. And if I click distribute, that'll then go, this will push this into the TestFlight app. And then within TestFlight, it'll show up as one of these apps. Here's another app I was working on recently. And then, you can actually manage your TestFlight. You have all your versions. You can create your internal testing and external testing. And then from your external testing group, you'll actually have like a public link, and you can just share that link with anybody. They'll have to go through TestFlight, so it's not in the App Store yet. You can just, get this thing up and out and available for other people to play with it. So yeah, steps would be get it into some production environment. I'm going to probably deploy this to DigitalOcean. You might want to add like a few more features. Depends on to what extent you want it to be sort of some amount of polish. But yeah, that's about it. Then distribute app, it'll show up there. So that's kind of all you have to do. And now, if you get good at this, like if I wasn't talking you through it, not that I'm like really good at it, but I've at least done it a few times. I bet I could really get like that basic stuff we did done in about an hour if I weren't talking through it. Um, but uh, but I think once you get a lot of your basics set up, your environment variables, with your API keys and stuff, you can probably get a test flight going, in like an hour. If you have like an idea, you can go through this process and go from like zero to hero in a test flight, uh, on iPhone in an hour. So um, that's the basics. I'm actually gonna play with this, and I'll push out a test flight. So let me know if you want to play with that, and I can send you a thing. DM me on Twitter. I'm DKSF, just 4 letters. DKSF, David King, San Francisco. And yeah, let me know if you want to play with test flight. As soon as I've got it ready, I will share a link, and you can hop on and play with it if that's interesting. And if you have other app ideas that you're excited about, let me know. If I'm excited about it, maybe I'll end up building it or giving you feedback if you want to build it or whatever. I'm just sort of here having fun, playing with things, building things. It's really just more like a hobby interest. But if you're building something serious and I can be helpful, also let me know, because I'm just happy to see more stuff get built and want to help you on the path. So, all right, I think we're gonna wrap then the live stream. And again, happy to hear any feedback. So let me know, and catch you next time.